Well, I thought I'd post a little update on how the Milano's going and what I'm kind of doing on it right now. So as you can see, the rear Didion is all bolted back in, transmission, transaxle I should say, all back in, all perfect. Everything's all bled and ready to go. So basically everything on the back of the car is all ready to go. It's so nice seeing things all fresh and clean in there. And then off to the front, I'm doing a couple little projects up here. So in tune with the power steering rack rebuild, I was planning on actually removing the ABS system eventually. So I was probably going to be putting a power steering reservoir right there, whereas the original set up front there by the radiator. I hated that thing because it leaked oil all over the rad all the time. Pain in the ass. So in addition to the moving the reservoir, not moving the reservoir, putting a different reservoir in, I added a power steering cooler, as you can see there. Because the factory one that was originally on here was broken. Somebody ran into it or ruined or whatever they did to it. Wasn't functioning anymore. So I got a Ford power steering cooler. Pretty nice unit. And then through the holes, as you can see there, the power steering line should be able to go up to the reservoir wherever I decide to mount it. Next thing I decided I was going to do is install an oil cooler on here. I've wanted to do this for a long time because the way I drive this thing, the oil does tend to get pretty damn hot. And it's just another basically radiator that helps cool the engine. Since the factory radiator, I find it actually is a little bit small, to be honest. So as you can see, I cut a section out that was pretty much useless beside the radiator. Installed this 10-row oil cooler, which fits just perfectly beside the rad, as you can see. Fits perfect in there. I ran my lines over, and then installed a thermostatic plate so that the cooler is only working when it's actually warm. This one opens, I think, around 81 or 82 Celsius or something along those lines. Then, because the oil cooler now occupies the space that the air conditioning receiver dryer used to occupy, I decided I was going to move the receiver dryer basically underneath the passenger side headlight, as you can see. Because underneath there is where the charcoal canister used to live. Mine rotted out a long time ago, so I removed it. They always rust on these things, so if you have a Milano, there's a good chance that your charcoal canister is just sitting under there completely rotten, so it's just useless anyway, so I removed it. So one of the lines goes up there. The other line has to be kind of cut into the bottom sheet metal there, as you can see. I'll give you a quick view underneath to see what we're talking about here. So the output of the oil cooler just kind of goes just underneath the bumper support, then up through one of the extra holes that is just there, and then the receiver dryer is now sitting basically where the charcoal canister used to sit. 2 3/4 inch hole saw makes really quick work of that. So because I moved the receiver dryer, I now need to make different air conditioning lines so that the condenser can still work, obviously. So I figured while I was doing that, and doing all this extra work as far as cooling and ducting and all this stuff is concerned, I might as well upgrade the condenser, because the factory one is in fact garbage, especially now since it's 30 years old and it's full of crap. So what I did is I went online, and there's a huge amount of universal air conditioning stuff out there. So I chose this unit here, what you can see. It was a whole whopping $45. Pretty nice unit. It's a Serpentine flow condenser, far better than the Serpentine flow condenser that the car was originally fitted. This here is just a copper tube and fin unit. It's pretty bad. The fins are all rotten and hardly attached to the actual core anymore. The thing is full of rocks, which are hard to get out. The thing weighs a ton and doesn't cool very well. and it's all corroded and nasty. It's just awful. So in an effort to get better air conditioning performance, and I do like my AC cold, I decided I was going to go with this unit here. The part number is actually written on the box. Actually, it's on this box. Fits into place without pretty much any modifications. You'd have to make some brackets, obviously, to fit to the original factory locations. And it all fits actually really, really nice. I chose a Serpentine flow condenser for a couple of reasons over a parallel flow condenser. One of the biggest being that the tubes that are in the Serpentine flow condenser are a little bit bigger, so that if there is garbage in the system, it won't clog. I've heard a lot of people say that if you use a parallel flow condenser, you really have to make sure the system is completely clean, or else you'll just clog it up, and that's not exactly what I want to have happen. So I chose this unit, even though it's not the best out there. It's still a lot better than that. To help this out even more, I've got this fan. As you can see, I've put the mount in and everything. And that fan is just going to sit on the front of the condenser just behind the bumper. And I'm going to wire that to a relay that turns on that fan basically whenever the air conditioning compressor is running. So that'll really help the performance even more. So yeah, and then I'm going to build a bunch more harnesses for all the fan wiring, because it was all garbage as well. A lot of people have been touching that over the years, so I want to redo that. That's kind of crap. And then the drive shaft is out being balanced, so as soon as that comes back, I'll be getting every bit step closer to finishing this thing.